Hey Sarah, I just slacked you. This is actually the Facebook ad group, and I overbooked you because it wasn't booked in my calendar. So you're gonna actually be in Kristen's room, which is I'll give you it to you in the chat. I just did this, so sorry about that confusion.
It's okay.
Close. Copy. All right. Why is it not letting me do this? What the heck? It's the same as the Zoom room here. Actually, I put it in your thing. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
And Nicole,
what's the number?
Yeah, that's her number. So she'll be in there.
Oh,
I can see you, Nicole. And what happened is we scheduled this one on top of the new Facebook ads thing. So I'm going to have you go first, but we're going to have Kayla with us. Sarah's logging on to a different one. So I hope that's okay for today.
Okay, so I'm logging out. Is that right?
Yep, you're going to go to Kristen's.
Okay, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, Nicole, thanks. All right. Yeah, sorry, we got this. We were starting this Facebook call this week, and then I realized that I had told you the same time as the Facebook call, and I was like, all right, I'll just work with Nicole first, and then I'll get to the rest of the Facebook call group afterwards. So, are you still there, Nicole?
Oh. It's all good. I have to turn off my video because my computer sucks, and I have to get a new computer.
I understand. It's a struggle.
But what I can do, and we'll see how well this is, share my screen. Firstly, I just want to go through all my Facebook apps.
Great.
Sales, and really, like, when I'm talking to people, I'm fine. Things in written word for me, I just don't, it's not where I shine.
Yeah.
So any help, like, I'm totally open to any revisions, any language edits. I've experimented with emojis and not emojis. And the other thing that I did, because I kind of misinterpreted the 9 pieces of content. And rather than like set up one ad and then test it with 3 different images and then 3 different headlines, and then like I set up 9, 2 of which weren't approved, which I think is also interesting. So that's just the snapshot of where I'm at right now.
Okay.
So I will share screen. So here. Sorry. Oops. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Okay, so you have, let's see here. So what are these audiences too, just so I'm clear?
So my ideal client was, and I kind of picked like their 3 defining qualities.
Okay.
And then a bunch of different Facebook pages that I personally, different people that I personally follow, and different.
Hey Nicole, it's getting really bad with the
and just.
You've been blacking out on the voice for like really long times. I was trying to get through it at first, but now it's really bad. Is there anything else we could try?
The only other thing, if we're mute myself on my computer and then call you.
Yes, do that. Okay. Let's do that right now.
Okay.
Because I'm missing a lot now.
Or can you mute me and then just shoot me through?
the call in, hold on one second. The call in is going to be 747-231-1114 once you get onto the Zoom app. So here is, hold on one second. I'll put it in the chat box as well. Copy. All right. This is to everyone. All right, that's the call-in info. You can also do it from the app maybe. Either way, I think you call into that number and then you put in the code, which is the 747. Kayla, thanks for being patient. Oh, you're muted. Oh, now you, dude, there you go. Let me see if I can hear you. What is wrong? I can't hear you. Okay. Do you have the volume up or anything plugged into your computer, Kayla? I don't think that should affect your voice, though. I think you should still be able to talk. 1 second. Let's see here. What is going on? That's so weird. I can't hear you. Sorry. Can you call in, Kayla? Is that possible? Because I don't know why it's not letting you speak. You can hear me though, right? Thumbs up? Okay. Nicole, is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, sorry. That's also my coaching business. So you called the number. Kayla did that yesterday. I know it's confusing. So yeah,
Okay.
so cool. I can hear you.
It's just, yeah, there's a number to call for Zoom, and then you enter in the meeting ID. So when you
Yes.
give that number, that's what happens. So yeah, so okay.
Yeah,
Sorry
sorry
about
for confusion.
One of those
Okay.
things, just like I don't buy cheap computers, and it's also obviously going to take at least a day or two to set it all up. So I'm just like, and it, you know, with my coaching clients right now, I usually just use FaceTime. So
Yep.
you know, so okay.
Totally been there within the last 6 months with my computer. I was like, oh, I don't want to. I'll have to send you are you getting a Mac?
I am, yeah.
I found them, I found like a deal. I can't remember if it was Newegg or something else. And I got it for like $200 or $300 off. So.
Well, I'm looking at, they do refurbished ones, and so it's not the money per se; it's actually the time and effort.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Out, and the Mac service just isn't what it used to be. Like Apple service isn't, it's not like I can just take in my current computer and my new one, and then in like an hour it'll be set up.
Totally.
So yeah, it's the time and energy that it will take.
Yeah. Cool.
But thank you for your patience, and thank you, Kayla, if you're still there. I can't tell, but sorry about that.
You're still muted, Kayla. I think that you're going to have to call in on your phone. I'm not sure why it's not working. Like, stay on, but mute yourself on your computer and then also call in because it's not working. I have no idea why. So weird. Okay. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay. So, just to recap what I was saying, I misinterpreted the original directions.
Okay.
And so instead of creating like one set of copy with 3 different images and testing from there and then building from there, I created 9 sets of copy with 9 different images and to test on 3 different audiences.
You're such an overachiever. I love it. Okay.
Well, what I am is a forest, not the trees person. So I just wasn't listening.
That is the first time I've
Um,
heard anyone but my boyfriend use that term. And so I'm happy that you know it because I argue with him all the time that it's not a real term. So
That's because you're a tree is not the forest person. So,
yeah.
so I know that I'm not really, I haven't optimized it properly. But like, I think the other issue that I had is that most of the people that I am inspired by and I follow didn't have enough likes to actually be used as a criterion for my audience, if that makes sense.
I do know what you're saying.
So I kind of just had to back it out to just like straight up demographics.
Okay.
I was sticking around with it for hours, and I eventually realized that my problem was that these pages didn't have enough likes.
Okay.
And so I would go to their pages and try and do that research, but it's just, I don't know, I guess, yeah. So I just sort of made up the demographics for those audiences. So I kind of, my ideal client is a creative business owner,
Okay.
Who's been in business for about a year.
Okay.
And a year to 3 years, sort of depending. But, so yeah, I kind of created, and I definitely work with males and females, but I have one audience that I'm testing that's only women.
Okay.
So yeah, so I don't really know where to go from here in terms of this call. I just want to optimize my ads, and I know that they're
Absolutely.
doing well. And I have a feeling that, I not have a feeling. I know that everything can be improved. So that's my goal.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And I also just want to reiterate, because this call is also to set like expectations with ads too, is
Right.
that, when your ad is at average, it's hard to go over average. Like the percentage that you'll increase it is by like very small percentages. Because no one's ever going to have 100% in an ad. Like they're going to have maybe at certain conversion points, the highest conversion point might be like a 60%. And that would be like people staying on your webinar because it's very compelling and stuff like that. But like, for example, and I'm going to just bring up a sheet to help illustrate this.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I totally appreciate that. I have no idea what average looks like. I'm assuming though that information is available. So I'm, if I just know what my benchmarks are, and if I'm hitting them, then it's like, cool. That's clearly what isn't the optimization point. There's something else. Like with Kristen, when I spoke with her on Monday, and so it was last week that she was like, well, if you've got the ads, just set them all up. And so then I did. And so then yesterday she was saying, like to your point, like it looks like things are okay. Let's try messing with your landing page. So I made a few tweaks and I got another registration. But so, yeah, it's that, that's the whole reason I signed up for this program, was to systemize my client outreach and sort of, whatever numbers or whatever points I now understand are something that I can focus on and manipulate. Then, that's what I'm looking for. So thank you.
No, totally. Yeah. And that's just something I want to set, because some people are like, so am I above average? And I'm like, listen, like you're going to be average, like within a percent of average, if anything better. And that's good. And that's just because those are the stats. And like, there's rare instances where you'll be above average, and those are great. And take full advantage of those. But knowing that you're going to be average and that the percent between average and excellent is like minimal is something I really just want everybody to feel comfortable with. Because that's just the way it is, right? So I'm going to just go over these really quick so you can kind of have a feeling, and then we'll talk from there. So for example, with like amount spent, that is going to be per industry, the amount that you spend. We say that typically the average per like lead is $5, but for like Kristen and us, sometimes that's $15 or $25, which is not like, this is like a total amount spent. So that doesn't make sense there. So that's why we can't fill that in, but it's definitely different per industry. Now, what I've done here is also kind of when you hover over these, and by the way, you can find this in the resource directory.
Okay.
This is called Funnel Math, and it's a combination of few.
I didn't see the tabs at the bottom. More forest, less trees. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
the key is not filled out yet, just as an FYI. We're on the mission of that, but I'll also paste this here.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I gotta-
If it's in the funnel map, I'm good.
So I think the funnel mat I've since updated. So I just want you to download a new copy if you've been using like your own. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Yep, totally.
So I'm gonna put it in this chat room, and then you guys can also get it in the resource directory. It's in the like resource.
Perfect.
Cool. Because it might get more updates just depending. Kayla, I think I heard you for once. Can you say hey? Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I fixed something on my end.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, if you guys have questions, stop me. But I'm just going to go through these different things, and then we'll get back to your ads if that's okay with you, Nicole.
Perfect. That's great.
Cool. Okay, so this cost per click is what I was just talking about. I didn't realize it was right in front of me. So anything under 5 is stellar. But also know this is per industry. So like I said, ours is like 15 to 25 per click, which is a lot, right?
Right.
And that's why we have you guys selling high priced things, because if you're getting that high of a, if it's that high of a conversion, then you have to be selling something that gets you, you know, so that your expenses are, or that you're getting like a approximately a 6 to 8 return on investment is what you want. Okay. So then we have the CTR, which is the click-through rate. So in a cold audience, which is what you have here, it's going to be 1%. So for every 100 people that see your ad, only 1 is going to click to the next stage. So sometimes seeing that number when you're like, oh my God, 1,000 people have seen my ad, but only, you know, what is that? I don't even know, 10 or something have clicked through. That's exactly where we're supposed to be, right?
Right.
Hold on one second. Yeah, 10. So 10 from 1,000, right? So I just want to make sure I was right. Now 2 is excellent, but honestly, some of our ads have below 1%, and that's still pretty accurate. Does that make sense? So if you have like 80 or 0.8 or something percent conversion, that's still good. We wouldn't really fix too much there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We just have you striving for the 1. Now, I want to say that one time I heard that 3% is viral. So I just want you to like compute that in your head, that we're talking about 1%, 2%, 3%.
Right.
Really small numbers, right? So even for 1,000 people, if it was supposedly viral, it would be 30 people that clicked on your link of 1,000. Okay. Now your relevance score, that's kind of a made up thing at Facebook side. And it's something that they don't have necessarily accurate, what is that called? Like, they don't have extremely transparent, messaging around what computes that. Does that make sense? So we don't really know. We've talked with ads experts, and they don't really know, because it's really probably some, you know, dev guy in India who knows, and he only knows part of it, right? It's an algorithm. So
Yeah.
a good score is 6, which we really want to push you to 8. And I think that once you get in the right audience, you can get it to 8 easily. This is one of the easier things, in my opinion, to get up. But then, like, for example, anything above 8 is rare, but there are people that get 10s, and I'm not going to lie, I'm one of them. So that's what we strive for. But obviously, 6 is good, 8 is great. And this has the most to do with your audience. So I need to write that in.
Flash, I'll let you go through that.
So if you have a low relevance score, for instance, you might need to just change audiences and not even change the copy, because maybe you just have the wrong audience.
Right.
But you also might need to up level your copy, which, just to be clear, you can almost always up level your copy. Like, that never ends. But you also have to let your ad run and not constantly be messing with it. So makes sense? Okay.
Because every time you mess with it, it sort of starts over in terms of all of these metrics, correct?
Exactly. Pretty much what happens is there's like essentially like 2 like pixels, if you think about it, like your ad account pixel, which is optimizing forever as long as you're running ads. And then there's like per ad pixel. And anytime you restart your ad, that pixel starts over again. And the time it takes to optimize is about 2 to 3 days for one type of optimization, and then about a week for the second optimization to try and get you like the cheapest ads. So once you have something that's working, even if it's average, let it go.
Can you repeat that? Just, I don't really understand. I kind of missed the first pixel, but when you say optimize, I also don't understand what that means. So if you wouldn't mind just going through that again, that would be helpful for me.
And to be honest and fair about it too, I don't know if anybody knows exactly what optimize means. It's a little bit like the algorithm.
Okay.
It's ran by the algorithm. So to optimize, they need to have a certain amount of statistically in any type of sample, you need a certain sample size for it to be relevant. Okay. So this is statistics. So I know that this is kind of like, but stick with me. So if you have a sample size and like of only like 5, you can get some results. You can make some inferences from that, but you can't make decisions necessarily on like 5 people, right? So if only 5 people, some people will show us their webinars and it's like 5 to 10 people have watched it. And they're like, does someone like my webinar? And we're like, well, honestly, we need about 25 to 50 people to decide specifically for the webinar if it's compelling, okay? So when you restart your ad, if that's your question, when you restart your ad each time, right, that pixel for the ad that you're trying to track, which would be like for the first one, completed registrations for your webinar, right? That essentially like reboots and it's making sure it's sending out the ad to the right people. So for the algorithm to optimize, it takes about 2 to 3 days, but then it takes about a week for it to like steady out. So pretty much they're hitting whatever that sample size is, which I think is about 5,000 within 3 days approximately. And then up until the end of the week, depending on how many people are coming in and out, it's optimizing more complete. Does that kind of help?
Yeah.
But then your other pixel that I'm talking about is your ad pixel. So this is like your overarching pixel. So like, let's say for instance, you're in the lawn care business and you have 2 ads running. One's for a lawnmower and one's for your watering service or something like that. So the ad might be served to different people because that'll have a different optimization than the fact that your like ad account is landscape. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like 2 thought processes. Question?
Yeah. Okay. No, I totally understand. Thank you.
Cool. Okay.
No, is that 5,000 people that watch the webinar? Or is it's just, no, I'm sorry, 5,000 people that see the ad come through on Facebook?
Yeah, approximately. Like
Okay.
they changed that. So I just want you guys to be very clear that when I log into your ad account, my account, Kristen's ad account, they all look different.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook also typically is providing kind of like different, like as your ad account gets older, right? So you've been doing posts for long, it typically is optimized differently. Not necessarily a different algorithm, but Facebook just kind of knows what people like. So right now you guys are using demographics and saying like, I want to hit Oprah Winfrey's demographic or something, right? But in the future, you can just put in like women and it'll work because it knows who likes your ad account.
Oh.
Okay. And that 5,000 might change next week. So that's about an average. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear. So, okay. So again, with link clicks and registrations, these vary based on the budget that you have, based on the click-through rate, and based on conversion rates at each of those points. Okay. So for example, if your link click-through rate is low, that means that you probably have a bad image, your headline's not compelling, and like the first 3 lines of your copy, because that's what they would see in your ad, right, aren't attention grabbing enough. And I'm sorry, that's for all clicks. I want to be clear. Link clicks is different than all clicks because all clicks is someone just clicking into the ad, but the link click is actually to the registration page. So for all clicks, the first 3 things I mentioned are important. For link clicks, it's more about the copy. And also the other things because they might not even click to it if it's not compelling, right? Questions there?
And so with link clicks, because when I'm looking at this sheet, it's just this. So are you inputting data to get to that percentage registered, or what? Like, what's the industry average for link clicks?
So the link click rate is that 1%. Okay.
Oh, so that's the CTR, click-through rate. Okay, sorry about
But
that.
if you,
I thought we-
yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, but you would fill these in, like the link clicks and the registration, and then this should be something that gets calculated.
Right, I understand. Okay, thank
So
you.
it's link clicks divided by reach is the CTR, click-through rate.
Okay.
Can you say that again? CTR?
Link clicks, I think it's also in here possibly.
Okay.
I'll write that in there. But essentially, CTR, let's see here. I think it would be on this one. Click-through rate. And then also, since we're on the topic of reach is how many people you reach, whereas frequency is how many times those people have seen your ad. And we want that to stay below 4 in most instances, unless they're a warm audience.
So the reach is how many people see the ad?
Yep.
Okay.
And the frequency is how many times. So if you've ever seen an ad multiple times,
Yeah.
that's why your frequency will be a little different than your reach, usually a little bit higher. People will see the ad multiple times, but you'll only hit, 1,000, but there might be like 1,500 that actually, the frequency might be 1,500. So a couple people saw it twice, more than once.
I got it.
And we just want to make sure that that stays a little below about 4%, I think it is. Yeah. Or it would be 4 point something, right? Because it would be how many times, because that can be like, that's kind of their annoyance level. Does that make sense? They get annoyed after 4 times they've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So we need
I
to
had people complaining yesterday about seeing my ads too many times. When I looked at the frequency, it's like 1.15, and it's just like, if you're the one person that saw my ad twice, I still don't understand why you're actually messaging me and complaining about this. But
It's probably, like you said, they're in both of those audiences. So they might have seen your ad 6 times, since you had 3 audiences and maybe each frequency is 1.5. So they've actually seen 6 possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So, yeah.
Or even more if your other ads were still being served and you're not just down to 1 ad, you were at 9 ads. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought might be happening, but I don't know how to address that either.
It just will happen within time. I mean, you've only been running your ads like, what, a week or so?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
quick question.
Yeah.
So we should be downloading this to our own Google Drive and inputting our numbers to keep
Correct.
track of our. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm not really at the point of creating the ads yet. So, because I'm currently working on getting the webinar and the email sequence
Mhm.
up, but I guess this is the next step. So I need to be paying close attention.
That's why I asked you to come on, because I knew that you were very close and I don't want to hold you back. So I want you to have the next steps.
Okay.
So yes. Okay. So I'm going to move on to registration real quick. So registration, this is at your landing page, right? Now, the reason the registrations would be low is for 2 reasons. One is that your page is not user-friendly. So people are falling off because there's too much writing. They can't get to the buttons. Your buttons aren't obvious. I really highly recommend that they're the brightest color, and no other color is like that on the page. And then also that your copy, like the bullet points, aren't compelling enough. I'm a big fan of like against the grain bullet points, or other bullet points that say that there's like numbers involved. So like my 5 secrets, and against the grain would be like, think it's all about veggies. Think again, let's eat some meat, right? That's something that people are thinking health is related to, but then you're telling them it's something different. So you want them to be
Wait,
catchy.
hold on 2 seconds. Can you,
Yeah.
for some reason I can't see your screen anymore.
I saw that you just logged off, it looked like.
Okay, so that's not what happened, but I'm going to actually do that so that I can, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see you, so
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
fine. But right now I'm not doing anything. I'm just talking about the registration percentage, which is
No, I think
30% being average.
download.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
Keep
will
going.
be,
Fine. Sorry.
no, that's fine. I don't know. We're having so much tech difficulties today. It's like I don't know, something weird going on. Okay, so industry average is 30%, with an exceptional being 40%. Now, there's very rare instances if you were sending this to a warm audience that you could maybe even get up to 80%, depending on how much these people liked you. But because we're with a cold audience, these are all cold audience metrics. And I want you to know that because there's a big difference between a cold audience and a warm audience.
Can you, when you're talking about these, can you put your cursor over the one you're talking about?
Absolutely.
So I can see the description that you have there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing that I want to mention is that if you have a very high opt-in rate, possibly, or a very high click-through rate, there's a potential that this might be a little lower because, for example, with Sarah Pominski, she had like a 6% that were coming through to her opt-in page. But then once they got there, a lot more abandoning. But she still had 3 times the amount that she would typically expect based on her previous statistics because they were so high. So I want you to know that sometimes based on like how many are actually pushing through to that conversion point, these might be a little bit lower, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's something to worry about. Okay, so attendees, this is something you would fill in, and then this is the attendance rate. Now, we're trying to get you guys closer to like a 60% because we're having an evergreen model, but these are the averages, especially for lives might even be a little bit lower, about 10%. But know that people staying on, it's typically related to how often you're serving the webinar. Obviously, if you just sent them and the webinar was playing immediately, that would be different, or that, you know, that would be, hopefully more people would attend, but you are going to inevitably lose people after they've signed up because they'll be in that room. And even if you're playing it every 15 minutes or something, you know, they might be at work, they might have somebody call them, they might have a baby crying, and you're going to lose people. Okay.
Quick
Mhm.
Should the webinar be every 30 minutes or every 15 minutes?
I think we're going to go ahead and push through every 15 minutes, and I have that rewritten in the like Selk ticket now. So,
Okay.
Questions, Nicole? Are you?
Attendees?
Okay.
Are we putting in a number?
Go ahead, Nicole, real quick, and Kayla, you can ask in a minute.
Am I like I'm trying to reconnect to the meeting and it's just spinning out? Do you need to like let me in by chance?
I don't, but I can. Oh, I see you now. Can you see us?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Again, I'm going to turn off my video.
No worries. And just so you know, we've only went through registration and attendees, and we're at attendee percentage.
That's cool. I've been listening the whole time, and I'd taken notes, so I'm good. Thank you so much, though.
Good deal. Ask your question, Kayla.
Yes. So attendees, we need to be putting in a number there for each day.
So you'll see the percentage, and this will, if you put the attendees, yes. So you have to put the attendees here, and then this will calculate based on, you know, the amount of attendees divided by the registrations.
Okay, and we're going to get that information from Stealth.
Yes, the attendees will be on Stealth. So I have this highlighted in different colors up here where you get these statistics, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much for the one that says Facebook Acuity, Facebook will tell you it's a website purchase, and that's what we would also call calls booked. But inevitably, sometimes Facebook statistics are delayed a few days or something like that. So you want to reconfirm with Acuity that you actually did have 2 sales calls. And you want to keep it at the people who booked, right? Because if you have a problem with your cancellation rate, that's different than the book rate. Does that make sense? Which I'm not sure if this goes over cancellation. We'll get to it, but we can talk about that as well.
Okay.
Nicole, I see that you keep going on and off, so just know that I'll have this and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, what's so weird is it's like toggling between like available, do not disturb, and away on my Zoom account, and I'm not doing anything. It's so weird.
Don't worry. If you want to just pull up the sheet and watch, I can tell you what column we're in so you can be watching.
Yeah, and okay, perfect. That's done. So thank you.
Okay, cool. So we're on SAW CTA percentage in the pink under self.
Perfect. Thank
This-
you.
Yeah, so this percentage is the attendance percentage divided by the call CTA. Now, what we're doing to calculate this is we're taking, you guys need to remember where in your call that you're doing your pitch. And I would have that written down someplace that's very obvious. You can always go back and look because you'll know, but you'll want to know what it actually is. And at that time, they're going to put a like little book now on your screen, on your attendance, your attendees screen at least. And they might have to click out if they're on a phone to get to it. So that's something that we want you to mention is like, it's somewhere around here. There's going to be a button to click through to book in, right? And sometimes I even don't leave out the color because in case the color ever changed or I changed it, you don't have to. But I do like to say it's somewhere around your screen because sometimes it's on the right, sometimes it's on the bottom. Sometimes you have to click out if they're on the phone. Okay. And don't worry, that's if you have it pre-recorded without that, that's fine. I just want it to be clear that that's something that happens.
My understanding was that link wasn't an actual click-through link. Like the button would show up, but they have to sort of physically go to your booking page. So that was sort of, I think, yeah, the directions I gave on my webinar are like go to the actual link.
Okay. And that's probably good, honestly, because that way they're doing it just in case the link wouldn't work, but they should click them through at the very end. That one button, not the link on your page, not the link on your like they can't click on your slides. They have to close out, find the button and go, or type that in.
Right. Yeah, because Stealth is like the link's not live. Like the button will show up, but they can't click on that actual button and schedule you, if that makes sense.
We can confirm that, but I think that you're supposed to be able to click the button, but I don't want to be telling you something wrong. Have you tried it?
Well, the first time I tried it and it didn't work. So then I submitted a ticket to Stealth and said, I'm not sure if this was, like they said that that's what the sandwich page was for, not the link. So I don't know.
Okay, I'll confirm and let you know.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I mean, I can also just submit another ticket, but I just might not be asking the right question, you know?
Yeah, the button, I believe, should take them through to the booking page. So you could just ask that, does the button take them to the booking page? I would like it to do that because there's no reason for it to pop up otherwise, you know?
Okay.
So, okay. So the CTA, so again with the CTA, they have a CTA on Stealth that is people who are actively watching. So they actively saw the CTA. Does that make sense? But some other people will be listening and still hear the CTA, and that could change. So like, for example, I've seen before where only like one person saw the CTA, but 4 people clicked through to the link and ended up on that booking page. And then also your webinar will redirect to your booking page at the end, which is also important because people then might, you know, book in even though maybe they had to be like in a meeting or something like that and they couldn't do it at the exact moment. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we're expecting about 25% to stay on to the end. So just know that like when you're talking about 1 of 100 and then, you know, 30% of 1 and then attending rate and then CTA rate, like you're talking about very small numbers here. So do not get discouraged when you're like, oh my God, 50,000 people saw my webinar and only like 5. And those probably aren't accurate numbers, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want you to know that the number is very small and you have to get a big sample size ultimately.
So we need to be inputting the numbers where it says like number divided by 0. We should be putting those numbers in.
Nope. So these, you'll see the ones that have this div, those are pre-calculated. So you just fill in these that have 0.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And this is a weekly total. So this actually gets calculated from this. So this is a sum of the below. So you do Monday and this will eventually sum it up per week.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Okay, so now we're talking about the SAW CTA number. So I want you to use the point in your webinar and make an estimation because Stealth currently does it on 10-minute intervals, which kind of stinks. I wish they would do it at least on 5. but that's what we're working with. And Stealth is one of the best ones in the industry, even though sometimes it takes a long time for them to respond or things like that. It just ends up being the best one. So the Sol CTA, you'll want to make a calculation based on, like, if you did at Mark 25 and between 20 and 30, you had like 30 attendees, then 25, you'll want to say like, okay, 27 saw the call to action or heard it at least, right? Because the call to action they call out, it could be like 5, right? Because they were visibly engaged, which is another great way to determine if your webinar is engaging. But ultimately, people might have open like a document that they're taking notes in, right? So even though they weren't physically there when your CTA was up, they were active, right? Okay. Calls book then. Again, you can get this from Facebook. That's the website purchase. But I want you to double confirm in Acuity. And we're expecting about 10% of the 25% that stayed on your call or stayed on your webinar to book. And then we can raise that number typically by having retargeting ads. And retargeting ads are so like necessary. They're so important because you already have this warm audience that then you can hopefully, get to jump on a call with you. So never turn off your retargeting ads once you start them. Some people are like, oh, I want to save money, and they'll turn off their retargeting ads. And I'm like, no, it's a warm audience. Do not do that. So retargeting ads are key once you have everything else set up. But you have to have 50 people in a retargeting group to be able to retarget. So you can create the ad beforehand, but it won't even start until you have 50 people for, keeping a group anonymous reasons.
Can we just bookmark that so when we get to my Facebook ads to see, because I don't know when to start that.
Yeah, we can check it out.
50 people, but sorry, you mean 50 registrations, right?
Yes, I do mean registrations at the very top of the funnel.
No, perfect. I was like, I don't know when I have 50 people.
Yeah, no, I get you. 50 registrants.
Registrants, perfect.
And you'll want to do a webinar replay ad and a book a call ad. And it's great at this point too to add any other pieces of content and stuff like that too, so that they kind of are, they're, what do you call it? Just you continue to stay warm and in front of them. Does that make sense?
Right.
And typically it's a very small price for a retargeting ad. Like a lot of times we'll put $5 on it and you won't even get to $5 until your audience is like 1,000 people or something like that. So you'll only be spending like $1 or $3 or something like that. And that 1,000, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but just for reference, you won't spend the $5 typically in the beginning.
Right.
And then this will be calculating your cost per call, column P, which will be, what do you call it? Facebook calculates this, but this sheet also calculates this. This is, okay, oh, that's because this is the sum. Hold on, let me see what this is. So we're grabbing the number of calls booked and dividing by your amount spent. So yeah, sorry, I don't know. That's why it was not coming in my head. So the amount that you spend divided by the amount that book in is your cost per call. Now this is going to be very high typically. Like it's not going to be a couple dollars. It's going to be like $200. Okay. Now we're hoping to get it down. But for us, I want to say it's like $250, $300. As you get more people in your sample size, it'll usually get down. It could maybe get as low as 50, but all of that is relative to your other conversion rates at other points, right? So if you get other conversion rates up higher, that goes down suddenly. And that's why we have, hold on, let me see here. In this sheet, we have this funnel where you can change around different things like no-show rates and close rates and things of that nature to really understand what that cost per call is going to look like here.
So how much should I expect to spend on ads? Like 500? So
to start, 500 is a very good, reasonable number to hopefully get somebody to book in and to, if you're good at sales, get a customer. If you're really, and that's about an average. So I want you to know that that's an average cost. You can go above that ideally want to get down to 250, but when you're in your beginning and you might mess up a sales call or you're just trying out all your things, it's just good to know that, those statistics are going to go up and hopefully decrease that cost.
Mm-hmm.
But this all relates to your industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's all relative to your industry, to your conversion points that we've been talking about. Because if for some reason you just had really crap conversion points, it might be more than 500 unless you fix those, which we'll identify as quick as possible and fix, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that's the expectation.
Okay, so to start around 500, and then if I need to, I can increase that or decrease.
Exactly. And know that if you want to, or, if you're once you're at all these averages, right, you can scale your ads. And as long as you're closing sales calls, you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars per, in Facebook ads, but recoup all of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not like you want to stall out at 500. If you want more clients and you're doing everything in your funnel is working correctly, you can feed more money to it because you're going to recoup that.
Yeah. Okay. And then eventually also raise my prices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That makes sense.
But everybody asks that question. It's like this question that we kind of have to avoid because we don't know what your costs are going to be. We don't know what your conversion rates are going to be. So do we expect for you to have a client at $500? Yes. But you have to have all these things in place and working. And you have to be able to close a sales call.
Right.
So, because the average for a newer person to close a sales call is 1 in 4 sales calls, right? But it might be more, it might be better, just depending on how qualified your clients are, depending on your pricing, depending on a lot of things, right? So there's everything that we have. There's not typically one thing that's feeding it. There's a lot of things that are feeding it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, questions right now?
No, I'm just thinking
No,
I
I'm
should
good.
practice some of the sales calls with like some friends or something.
Because that's the hardest part when you get them to a sales call and you lose them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just painful and it will happen. Like inevitably you can't close all of your sales calls. I just want that to be clear to everyone. No one is 100% sales call closer. And that's for a variety of reasons. It's not typically your fault at all. It's typically the qualification of that prospect, which may be money, it may be something else. And that's definitely something you can work on and get better at handling those objections. But sometimes they just aren't the right fit. And that's to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why in the beginning, when you're doing your pricing and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you have some ideas in mind. If for some reason this person can work with you for a certain amount and what that would look like and if that would be beneficial to you so that you can recoup your ads cost.
Mm-hmm.
I want that to be clear because I think that while you're getting good at sales, you have to understand that depending on that, that could affect how many people book in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the calls and the books. Again, with this no-show rates and purchase, these are things that you would input and then it would be calculated. But also, what do you call it? These are about average would be 10% for each. So sometimes some people will get their first sales call, and they won't show up. And that could just be that, 10% that wasn't going to show up. But it could be that you didn't, send out enough reminders. So that's why, we talk about being a dog with a bone and really going after it. Because at this point, they know that they want to work with you. And if they fill in their form and you remind them before the call and stuff like that, like, it's not annoying. It's you making sure that you are, because this is a very high expensive person, right? Like calls booked, like I said, could be $200 even. Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure that they're on the phone so that you can sell to them.
Is there any way you could put the averages in each hover box?
So most averages are there. Like this is, I think actually an exceptional rate is 10%. I'll have to double check that. So anything less than would be that, or more than, sorry. Or is that a more than sign? Yeah, that was a more than sign. And then this is a 1 in 4. So this is like 25%, 50%. Oh, I need to have this in the percentage rates. Hold on 1 second. So some of these I can't tell you how many things you're going to book. That's why these are blocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Or how many people will purchase, because that's relative to everything else in the sequence. So anything that has this is like it can't be calculated because it's too unique.
Okay.
Questions? This email open rate, you obviously can't put in your emails here, but that's just a percentage. So I just put it in there because I think it's important to know. So if you have a bad email open rate, typically that's your subject line. It's not interesting enough. So subject lines are very important.
Okay. And if we stick closely,
Continue, Kayla, and then I'll get you, Nicole.
so if we kind of use Kristen's subject lines as like the guidance for crafting our email sequences, would you say that would be a good idea?
I think that would be a good idea. I think definitely if you have some of your own voice that you want to put in there, do it. If you have something even catchier, please do it. And then you have to watch the rates, because what works for us doesn't necessarily work for you. And what works in one audience for you might not work in another audience. So I wanted to explain that too, as far as ads go. So you might have, I've had people who have, we talk about testing images and testing copy and stuff like that. Sometimes when things aren't working, it just means that your audience isn't right as well. Like your copy could be good. It might be the audience connecting with it, right? So a copy that would work in audience 1 might not work in audience 2. A picture that works in audience 1 might not work in audience 2. So that's why we do all this testing. And usually it's 2 to 3 days of testing. So it's not like you're losing money or something when you're doing it, because you're still getting in front of people. And right, it takes like 7 to 8 times for someone to make a purchase with you. So they could see you once, but the second time when you have a more compelling headline or picture or something might actually speak to that person and get you there, right? And one other thing that I've recently learned that I want to share is like, and this is a little bit more subjective. This is not quite here, but like 30% of people in the world are going to like you, love you, right? And 30% are going to hate you, and 30% are going to be neutral. So know that, like, and again, that's a subjective, there's no statistics behind that, but know that like sometimes like for example, with your ads, Nicole, for whatever reason, you got served to the 30% that just aren't happy and they're the grumpy people. And don't get discouraged by that, because there's plenty more out there, right? There's
it wasn't, I'm that didn't discourage me, but the woman was like, I'm reporting you as spam, which I just recently had to change email addresses because all of my emails were going to junk folders. So that's the only worry that I have is that was a pain in the ass. So
Yeah, no, I'm more so just saying it in general, because when you start spending money on ads and you've already made an investment and stuff, people get really anxious, and a lot of it is just being patient and waiting. And if you're the average, that's a good thing. If you make those averages, yes, we want to continue to improve, but not necessarily tweaking is always the answer. Sometimes it's just waiting. So I just want that to be clear, because this is a very activating point to be in your business. And, there's 7 billion people out there. So even if you got, 100,000 of those people to pay you $10, that's $1 million. And you can get in front of 100,000 people easily. So,
well, I think also something for you guys, I'm sure you're aware of this, but like you get to this place, and Kayla, you'll get there as well. Like there's so much work to be done and research, and it's like every day you almost have like a full, days worth of activity, and then you launch your Facebook ads, and then it's like, okay, now what? Like you feel like you should be more productive and you should be doing something. And so I think that's what my biggest struggle is right now. Obviously I had to create a lot of space for this program, and then you get to this point, and then I've created all this space. It's like, well, what more can I do? How can I be more productive and effective and impactful, So that's probably just where I'm at right now.
I think it is. And again, we will still go and look at your ads. I know this was long. I know we've probably even gone over. I just need to make sure I don't have any other calls. Give me 1 second after this, immediately after.
No worries. So this has also just been super helpful. So thank you.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to save this call, and I might even put it like as a link to this group so people can watch it before they even get on this call, because I really want it to be about setting up your ads, because some people just get a little anxious about, again, like they've never been in Facebook's interface before, and that's scary. And, they just want somebody, a helping hand and somebody watching over them. I've set up so many ads that's not my favorite thing to do, but at the same time, I want everybody to feel very confident in that everything's
Right.
set up and good to go. And you guys need to learn how to do this. That's the other thing. There's once in a while, and it's not you two, people will come through here and they want like me to set up the ads for them. I'm like, well, what are you going to do after this? Are you going to spend the $2,500 per month to work with me? Or are you going to actually be doing this yourself? So I think it's very important that everyone understands how to do this, especially if at some point you ever, send this off to somebody, so you know what it costs and what the time takes and if it's working correctly. Because if you just blindly send your ads to somebody to run for you, you won't know necessarily if they're telling you the right thing or not.
Well, and I've been it's embarrassing, but I've been advertising on Facebook for years for other sort of bands and artists that I've worked with.
Yeah.
And the metrics have also developed significantly just in the last, I would say 18 months even. But it's just like, well, if enough people come to the event or enough people buy the thing, then that's the metric that we're looking for.
Yeah, totally.
Again, such a helpful deep dive. Thank you.
And I want to explain one more thing too, because this is our funnel. This is a webinar funnel, okay? Which
Right.
I think you guys have maybe seen this, but I'll just show it one more time. Hold on, it's loading. This is the funnel that we're working with, right? So metrics for different types of funnels are different. And I just want that to be clear because again, if you're working with a warm audience, typically those numbers just go up, but there's other percentages that you can estimate. And also next year when the algorithm changes, and I'm not saying that next year, I'm just saying like that as point in time, these might change, and it's ever changing, and we'll be updating stuff as much as possible. But I just want you to know that everything is relative, because this is the funnel that we're doing. So if you're sending people to guides first or doing other things, there's other ways of, there's other metrics that you may need to be aware of.
Totally. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that was really in-depth, and I think it was good. We can also look at your ads right now, or if you need like a breather, we can come back to them. Nicole?
If you've got time, I would love to look at my ads. Let me just make sure I don't have something right now, actually.
Rachel, I just have a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
Do we need to be, so we're going to be submitting our ads for copy review. Do we need to be submitting any other material like our registration page or booking page or any of that?
Registration page, and ads, and email sequence. Those are the things that you should be submitting.
Okay.
And Kayla, next week we'll go over like setting up your ads, since you're not there yet, but now you have this digest. And please, if you are good to go with setting up your ads, set them up and send them to me. Or, well, I guess you can't send them to me, but you could send a screenshot or something and go ahead forward with your ads. Because the biggest thing with ads, one of the last takeaways, is that you can set them up and then you can change them. Like I said, you don't want to be changing them a lot, but I'd rather you be moving forward and getting the information, because I can tell you your landing page looks good. I can tell you something else is lurking. But if you don't actually have that feedback, it may or may not be true to your audience and who you're currently targeting, right? And so then we'll have to adjust either the targeting or the messaging or things of that nature.
Okay, because I haven't submitted anything for copy yet, and I didn't know if it was like absolutely necessary or what that.
It's not absolutely necessary, because again, once we're getting the information once you have it hooked up to Facebook, there's really no need, because we'll learn, right, immediately. But if you have something ready, definitely submit it. And know too that sometimes that takes a little bit of time to get back. So I just don't want you to be held up. So I'd rather you start your ads, wait for the copy review, or then get a copy review and make some adjustments if necessary, or just use the metrics that you're getting and then adjust as necessary.
Okay.
And again, just because we're recording this, I want everybody to know that ads get disproved. That's a thing that happens. The first time I remember I worked so hard and I put my ad up there, it got disapproved. Probably because I used the word "you" too much. There's a lot of different metrics on that, and I think we have some links to like what Facebook's rules are. Those guidelines change; they're vague, and Facebook can have the authority to just cancel at any time, right? but know that that can happen because it's super depressing, but it's okay. You can make tweaks and get them approved. But it's good to like get them approved and then move forward, right?
One of the tips that was posted on the Slack channel is schedule your ads to start. And so, like, as an example, I posted all of my ads like on a Thursday, and I didn't schedule them to start until Monday morning. And that way I could see which ones got disapproved in the interim, update them, schedule them. And then, like, by Monday morning, all of them were approved.
I love that idea.
Yeah, so that's something, again, I think it was Farron that posted that in the Slack channel, but I thought that, like, since this is being recorded, it's a really great tip.
That's a gem. Thank you for sharing that right now.
Okay. So the registration page, the ads, and the email sequence should all be reviewed by, like, I would submit that for a copy review or just show it to you.
You can do it for copy review. I think that would be the best way. Just know it still might take a week or so. So.
Okay. Yeah.
And to keep moving forward, do not stop. Just because you're in a copy review and it's not done yet, I want you to do the next step.
Okay.
Okay. Nicole, let's share your screen.
Okay, fingers crossed.
I actually have to go.
Because I can share while you're sharing.
You're going to go, Kayla?
Yeah, I have to go. I'm sorry.
Hope this was helpful.
It was very helpful.
Kayla.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I got to stop sharing. Well, you sometimes can override me, but not all the times. Okay.
I don't think my computer can override anything at the moment.
Hang in there.
The process is constantly running to see, like, where I'm at and what's going on. Because it doesn't, it's just old. It's so dumb that you have to spend like $2,000 every other year now. But anywho, okay, so that's the funnel that we just shared. Here are my ads.
And I'm not super smart with computers, but I know one time I like refragged my C drive, and I don't know if that's the same with a Mac because it was on a PC. But that helped significantly for me in the past. So
yeah, you can. They've got disk optimization on a Mac, so I've done that. It's one of those. There's not really anything I can figure. It's just time for me to get a new machine. I know that, but
yeah.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at. I don't know if you want to.
So I have a question real quick. Are all the ads still running in each of these, or have you chosen the winning ad?
They're all, they're all running. So this was the one that I set up first.
Okay. Let's go into it.
And then because Kristen was like, just go ahead and run them all, see what happens. So I did.
Yeah. So, okay, go ahead and go into that first one and let's see how many ads are running then still.
Okay. So, and this one, 2 of these were disapproved. So,
okay. And then did you delete the disapproved?
I that deactivates it, right?
Let's go ahead and delete it off. Sometimes there's like a superstition, at least, that if you have unapproved ads, it can look bad when they're doing the algorithm. It might just be superstition, like I said, but let's just do it.
That's good to know. And so then just for your background as well, I picked 3 audiences, and then I have 3 types of copy. So what I refer to as short copy, long copy, which is sort of touching on the perceived pain points of my client, and then my story, because I'm very reticent to share my story. That's one of the things that really resonated with Kristen and why I actually signed up for, or why I watched her webinar, was because there, nowhere through her funnel did I know like every failure she's had and all the sad stories of her life. And I personally don't find that relatable, but I'm very aware that that's how most people are marketing, so I'm perfectly willing to test it. But both of those 2, the long and the story, were disapproved, and I think it had to do with the image. That's where we're at with this ad.
Okay.
Great.
Give me 1 second. I need to.
Don't worry. Okay.
So, so I heard what you were saying, and I think that just sharing a story is an amazing way to get people. I think it does connect with a lot of people. I also understand your hesitance.
Yeah.
I've also been there. And also too, typically when you're telling it from a story point of view, you're having more like adjectives and just like things of that nature. And that's really helpful. Like when someone can be like, oh, I'm sitting there drinking a LaCroix with her while she's, doing this task, and they can kind of see themselves there. That's just very powerful. So sometimes if you can just add some of those storytelling details into a story that's not about you, that's also powerful.
Thank you. Well, and I mean, I'm a big believer in like, it's not up to me. It's up to, the numbers will tell me what works.
Agreed.
And so that, like, I've got a couple different emails in my nurture sequence that highlight my story. And so, yeah, I'm totally willing to test it. I just know that, that's it. End of my story.
And it could also be your what do you call it? Audience, because right now I see a 3 relevance score, and I do not like that. It should be a 6, if not higher. Now you have BAC. What does BAC mean?
So, Badass Creative, it's a podcast that I listen to. So I kind of divided my audience into like the 3 different, I don't know how to describe it. Like there's sort of, I spend a lot of time researching. And so I kind of divided my audiences into the like, if I were to sum up the types of research that I do, the Badass Creatives are my clients who identify as artists.
Okay.
This is actually a female audience. This is the only one that I made as female.
Okay.
And are, probably have 2 or 3 different hustles, if you will. Like they're doing art festivals. They have their art studios. They probably have an Etsy store.
Okay.
Their main source of income is a creative product.
I hear you. Gotcha.
Right.
And something I also want to note, just for the record, since we're on it, you won't actually get a relevance score until you get 500 people that you've reached. And that's pretty much kind of the point where we can make some decisions on your ad, is about 500. And so you have to wait for that. And then also to, what was I going to say? I can't think about it. Okay. But yes, so with this relevance score being so low, and also you will reach that faster depending on the budget behind the ad. So that's the other thing I wanted to mention, right? Because sometimes it'll take somebody 3 days to get there, and sometimes it'll take somebody 1 or 5 or whatever. So, and we want to be getting about, what do you call it? 50 conversions on your ads per week, about.
Okay.
At some, once it's optimized. So this, I would personally just say that this is not the right audience or not the right copy. And I would turn this ad off, because I think you're going to spend more on it than what it's going to be worth to you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Thank you.
And we can make that adjustment. We'll either get a new audience or we'll update the ad, and then we'll see if it changes.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back to the next ad set and then look at the ads in it. And I just wanted to also point out, you're using the column performance and clicks in the upper right, and that's exactly what we may be using. So, okay. So here.
So this was the first ad set that I put up.
Okay.
This definitely has, in terms of audience, it's the biggest reach as well. And this is, I actually did what was suggested in terms of, so this is the exact same ad. Everything is exactly the same except for the image.
Gotcha.
And obviously this image is the clear winner here.
Yes. So we'll go ahead and shut off the other ones that did not win or get 500.
Okay.
So, with that too, also you can only see the relevant score at the ad level, because it's per ad that it may or may not be relevant, not at an ad set level. Okay.
Okay.
This is still a little bit low on the relevant score. It's not terrible. But definitely that cost per result is pretty high. So I want to see your other ad before we make some decisions, but we may need to be doing some more thoughts on audience or working on that copy just a little bit. So let's go to the other ad set and check that one out.
Okay, I'm just taking some notes, 2 seconds. Audience, copy. Okay. And so just also, I didn't really want to say this with Kayla on the line, but with when I sent in my copy, like it truly is copy editing. Like there's no actual content editing going on. It's just grammar and, you know, like if you repeated a word or I got 0 feedback in terms of, which is exactly what I would expect from copy editing.
Okay.
But in terms of like content relevance and you know, Facebook ads, that might be like I actually didn't send in my Facebook ads for copy editing. So it's like, didn't seem all that necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I think you find out what's happening. I've also seen your copy. It's very strong. And so there might not be much to do. And then, you know, once we just get some feedback, we might pop up new things that we could, you know, work on. Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely. These are 3 different ones. I'm pretty sure this is, I've mislabeled one of this. I'm pretty sure this one, I think this is long. If I don't know if it matters.
No worries, it doesn't. So let's delete that disapproved ad, and then let's turn off the top one because it is not performing as good as the lower one. So, and how I know that is because I'm looking at the cost per result and I'm looking at the relevance score. So after seeing this, what I would suggest doing is turning off the previous ad that only had a 5 relevance score. And you can see also how a relevance score is tied to that cost per result because the other cost per result was like $23 and this is only 7. So what I would do right now, because 7's not bad at all, I would turn off that one. And then we're going to let's delete that one or pause it first. And then I'll tell you what we'll do so it's not confusing.
Okay.
So I want you to go back to that ad set and I want you to duplicate the ad set that's working. And push yes. That's just saying it's the original or
existing campaign.
Yep.
You just want me to duplicate the ad set, correct? Not the campaign?
Yeah, we're not changing it. And you can also do original.
You could go for ad set then, and I'll hit duplicate there. There we go.
Or no. Actually, sorry, I misspoke. So we do need to do it at the ad set level because what I want to do is add more money to it. And what we're finding is, so you create the money at the ad set level. And what we're finding is that sometimes when you mess with the money on the ad set level, it'll change the cost per result. So we just like to duplicate the ad set and then put more money behind it rather than increasing the budget at the ad set level. Does that make sense? So it's just a duplicate ad set, same ad.
Okay, perfect. So is this correct then? So it says add to ad set, existing ad set?
No, so you're gonna go back to the ad set level, so cancel out of this and duplicate that ad set. And you can just do original campaign with your original ad set. Create a test, compare a new ad set with your original ad set. Just do original campaign, don't do that toggle. And and then you can just close out because we don't want to change anything since it's working right now. And this is the same copy that you've been showing me on other things that weren't working. Is that correct?
I mean, it's the same copy as that exact ad that was running, that was working best with a relevance score of 6.
Yeah. So what we can do, so the only thing we would change at the ad set level right now is if you want to increase the budget to like 20, which is totally up to you. We can see what this ad would run if we put $20 behind it versus just 10. But know that you already had $20 on it, so this will be like $30.
I'm perfectly okay to throw money at Facebook ads. It's fine.
Perfect. And we still might, at the end of the day, create some more copy and create some more audiences and see if we can get it even lower. And then we might adjust where we put our money. Does that make sense?
It does. And now that I'm hyper concerned about people seeing my ad multiple times. If I've got 2 of the exact same ad running, but just one has a higher budget, is Facebook smart enough to not show that like this group more than once? Does that make sense?
I do. It does make sense. I think this shouldn't be a problem if we're only running 2 ads, because I want you to go in there and delete the other ad, because I think it'll automatically have that one on. So there's only 2 ads running, because before you had like 18 ads running or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like 24.
Yeah.
So let's just try it and see. And then at most, hopefully they'll only see it 2 times. So, okay, it is still turned off. And we'll just see.
So this was the one that we turned off because it wasn't working as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of, so now we've got, should I deactivate these 2? Like these are the 2 different ad sets that we turned
Yeah,
ads
you can
off.
deactivate them because I don't think they're working anyway, so it doesn't matter. And
then we'll just be less confusing.
Yeah. So what we need to do is publish this because it's all good already. The other thing, hold on. If you go into the ads level real quick.
Yep.
And click on that one that's there, and then open it up. Ooh, I like it. With the eye, that's so crazy. That's why you have such a high relevance score, because it's creative and eye-catching and they like it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, okay, so you're gonna can you open another ads manager real quick, and we're gonna go grab something?
Open another, so just another
Yeah,
tab.
if you could do like another tab.
Yeah, I can. It's my computer. Maybe it's not letting me do that.
Okay. So we want to go, if you get that drop down menu for me one more time, we're going to go somewhere else.
So this is the ad set.
So if you go to that ads manager with the hamburger menu in the top left, we're going to use this to go somewhere else, and then keep the other one open. So if you go to, oh my goodness. Okay. Page posts under create and manage. Sorry, it like changes every other day.
I know. Well, and I've got the business manager instead of like, I don't think many people are using the business manager. So I've been told that this is confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. So Sip and Save workshops. Is that something different? Are you under the BZ coaching? Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
And do you have anything under, let's go to publish posts real quick.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right, we're going to scratch the idea. So if we had this post on your page, we were going to reference it so that you had the same, like, traffic going to the same post to keep the same, social, like to keep increasing social proof, but you have to post it to your page.
I don't have this posted on my page. Is that a thing that people do?
It is. So if you post it to your page, the next time we can do that and reference the post, and then it will be just sending all of your traffic to the same post. But in the beginning, we're trying to just try stuff out. This one's working. Okay. Still not the most relevant. So maybe what we'll do, instead of doing that now, we'll just have this other one running as is. And then me and you can look at the copy one more time. And then we'll create a post that's like super compelling and go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I would just publish right now. This is good.
Yeah. So this is my story.
Okay. And if it's okay with you, can you send this link to me in Slack and then I'll take a look because I'm not going to be super good on the fly. But we can do that. And right now I would still publish this as is. And then just in the future, we'll make that adjustment.
Okay, no worries. How do I send you the link?
So, so can you just send me the copy? Like, can you just copy it into your Google Drive?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that possible? Yeah, no, because that's what I was trying to do is find the link and then it was like not there. And so I can look if there's another way to get it, but that's typically where it is. So if you just send me the copy in Slack in a Google Drive, we'll fix it. And then from there, we'll have some information like over the week or weekend and we can go from there.
Okay, I mean, I have a document with all of my Facebook copy, but you just want this one?
Well, that's fine as long as you highlight the one it is, like in a different color, so I know. And then if you can drop that link in Slack and make sure that I'm available to see it, which if it's in your personal share folder, I should be. But if you have it elsewhere, make sure the sharing privileges are on. And then I'll go in there and I'll take a look at it.
No. Well, yeah, it's definitely it's in the G Drive right now. So I'll send you the link. That's no problem.
That would be awesome.
That's what you meant by link. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And so now I only have one ad running. I guess I'll wait for your feedback on the copy and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything else. This is good. This is what a lot of people, this is what we're doing, right? Like we ultimately have one ad pulling people in, right? And then other ads after the fact.
And then, so I'm sorry, just one last question. I'm still confused. When you say post it to my page, so I'm going to make a post. I'm going to copy the exact ad copy and use that as the post content with the exact same image.
Yep.
And then how am I linking people back to that?
And then we'll get that post ID from that area we were in. And then instead of, if you go to the ads portion.
Yeah.
Go to the, ads tab, go back to go back. Now the ads tab next, yep. So if you, let's just say, open up the one that's empty right now, or that what's not running. So we can just finagle with it. We don't have to bother. Yep. Now you see how it says create ad, it has a blue underline on the left, a little bit lower and to the middle, because I forgot that thing was over there. keep going there.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're going to push use existing post and you would put that post ID there.
Oh.
But what we're going to do first is work on your copy. So your tasks for today are to send me the copy. I'll work on it. And while we're doing that, I want you to think of even more audiences because your relevance is still a little low.
Yeah.
And so it could be the copy. It could be the audience. We'll have to do a little testing there.
And I am totally happy to do that because I was a little dismayed when I went to the audience part and all of this research that I had done was sort of irrelevant. And then I was like, well, I guess I can just think about who that person would be.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it sucks because you have to pivot because you've done all this search, but don't worry. This is really good to know. And we can make like audience is an easy thing to change and to figure out. But you do have to start going a little bit broader. Also too, is there any reciprocal audiences? Maybe they're creatives, but maybe they all eat at Whole Foods. And so then you can target Whole Foods and subsequently you get your audience. Does that make sense?
That's a good idea because people who shop at Whole Foods can afford me.
Exactly. And also too, there's other things. I mean, that's just an example, right? But there's other things maybe you don't like people who are on Etsy, so you didn't include them, but maybe you should kind of thing. And I don't know if you did that. I'm just saying there's certain things that people are have taboo. And I'm but that's your audience. Give it a try and then make the decision at least. You know what I mean?
No, I just was on a completely different line of thought. I was really looking for people and influencers. It did not even occur to me to put Etsy in or Whole Foods or things of that nature. Duh. So
epiphany. Yeah. So think about that. And then also stalk people. If you have an ideal person, and this is the weird advice that I give. I stalk people, even though like maybe I hate their guts or something like that, but like ultimately I know they have the money, I know they have the same goals, whatever. I stalk them and I look what they're actually liking, because sometimes they'll like really weird things that I had no clue that they would be interested in. And it just has to have that 500K followers in order for you to be able to target. But know as well, like once in a while there'll be a couple that have 500K and you still can't find them for some reason. So the more the merrier, because you can try them all. I like trying one at a time, so I know that Whole Foods is $3 and Sprouts might be $5, and then I'm going to go with the Whole Foods because it's cheaper. But anything under $5, and I know that yours is at 7 right now, which is not bad at all because of the industry you're in, is good. So you can have all of those running, but if you want to keep it cheap, you send as much traffic to the cheapest one. Making sense?
Okay. Yes, it is. It's making perfect sense. Okay, so send you the copy and work on my audience. And
Yep.
I'm not posting the advertisements to my page yet.
Not until I look at it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Good. Yay.
Okay.
I will talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, perfect.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.